A GoFundMe campaign has just been set up for acclaimed singer-songwriter John Cody. I'm John Beaudin from Rock History Music. It's been a tough few years for John Cody. First suffering from colon cancer, then all the complications led to him losing his larynx, his voice box, not that long ago. And from more complications, John can no longer perform the way he used to because he really can't sing anymore. And now a GoFundMe campaign has been set up to help John live. Before he lost his voice box, he had a chance to record his last album called Hard Won. His music has been recorded by Holly Cole. He's worked with Tom Cochrane. Bonnie Raitt also recorded his music. And right now, he just needs some help. Not to mention that going through what he went through, it's hard to cope. But he doesn't look at himself as a victim, as you'll hear. We asked John how this mess all got started.
It started with high blood pressure and cholesterol, and through being treated for that, I was getting sick, and I thought it was the medication. And then through doing more tests and stuff, and also revealing the history of colon cancer in my family, then they proceeded with all of what, all of the treatments or tests that you normally do. And I was, at that time, I was already overdue for an examination of my colon. So that's when they found, just multiple tumors, most of which they couldn't even be removed in one surgery. They had to do two.
Well, fast forward to you losing your voice box. That's like the most sobering news a musician can have, but how did you process that? I
went to work, and that's my first instinct. That's all I ever want to do. It's like, instead of wallowing in it, instead of being upset, and I was, but I guess instead of remaining upset, I just went to work. It's like, it's the best therapy for me. Like, even now, where things are pretty much the worst they've been, the only thing that I feel like doing is working. And by working, I mean, there's a documentary being made, so editing footage, watching it, trying to work on the music videos I started last May. Harder to do because I'm not well and I'm not up to it. So
every one of the three albums going, obviously your first album, when you recorded that, you were in a certain mindset. First album, it's almost like a clean slate. In some ways it isn't, because, you don't know what you don't know. Then you got to your second album and your third, and you're maturing as an artist. But recording those three albums can, on some levels, be capsulized in one era of your life. When you recorded the new album, you had to be in a different universe, knowing this was going to be your last vocal album, at least.
I've said this many times. There's just no time to really focus on that. There's so much work to do. When I got the diagnosis about my larynx, was beginning of May. They wanted to do the surgery in 4 weeks. And I said, that doesn't give me enough time. What's the most amount of time you can give me? And it was mid-July. I go, okay, I can do an album. Like, I can at least do the vocals in that time. Because also, you have to get the business together. It's not like, okay, I'm just going to go home and throw up the microphone and away I go. No, it wasn't like that at all. This is 16 songs, some of which I had waiting in the can, had been recorded, but most of it not, So it's like, well, what am I going to do? What can I do? There's no time to be sentimental about it. There was no time to be self-pitying. There was it was like, well, I'm making a record now, so now I'm in making record mode. And when I'm in making record mode, it's kind of a realm of perfectionism in a way. So, but still, it's the only thing I'm thinking about. I wasn't really, to be perfectly frank, it wasn't until after a year, when I was working on the trailer that's out on YouTube for the documentary that's being made now. It wasn't until I actually saw the arc of it, because it starts with the Unison benefit I did in June of 2016, goes right to what I was doing, starting the record, getting ready for the surgery, and then 2 months between the day of which was filmed, the day of the surgery, and then being in California. And when I saw that, that's when I started feeling like, that was really a hell of a thing. And I didn't feel sorry for myself, but I did feel the weight of what it meant. I mean, people were upset when we were recording. No one got upset in front of me, but there were times, people told me there were times when people said like it got to be too much, like not too much, but that it hit them. Particularly Dano, who's my best friend and a co-producer and the engineer, and has been my engineer for 23 years. He told me later, much later, and I was glad it was much later because I couldn't have handled it, where he said, he would get tears because he was mixing my last album. Mm-hmm. And, and no one's recorded my voice more than Dano, and Dano, to me, is like one of the best engineers in the world. He's been Joni Mitchell's engineer since 1984, with the exception of 2 records. And that many years, that's a long time.
What's your biggest issues medically now?
It starts with the colon. If the colon doesn't work, and one of the things the colon's primary function is to regulate all bodily fluids. Okay, so if the colon stops working the way it's supposed to, because I've had so many surgeries on it, I don't even know how much is left. And then the stomach stops working properly, right? I mean, food goes in here, goes down your throat, goes through your stomach, through your intestines, and out the colon, through the colon, out the bowel. Colon's not working, stops up the stomach. Stomach's not working, it starts coming up the throat. That's what happened to my larynx. It was acid from my stomach, trying to digest food that wasn't being digested properly because it wasn't going out of my colon the way it's supposed to. Essentially, that's like a Coles Notes version. So I was getting nocturnal vomiting, which meant I woke up in the middle of the night choking on acid, which was, expressly on my larynx. And of course it hurt and caused so much damage, that it was riddled with, I could say cancer, but really it was regenerating squamous cells and leukoplakia. I've been very ill for the last almost 2 months, and well, actually quite a bit before that, but getting bad enough that I'm in hospital with it. So basically, I have now a surgery on December 7th to remove the necrotic tissue, as well as repair the surgery, the umbilical hernia surgery that needs to be redone. That's what's imminent right now. And of course, I'm due for a polypectomy, so we'll see what they find in my colon, which hasn't been looked at in a year, because there's all this other stuff happening at the same time. It's like a domino effect.
If you want to help John Cody, you can go to GoFundMe/John Cody. There'll be links below in the description of this video. Make sure you comment on our videos, subscribe to our channel, and share our videos. I'm John Beaudin from Rock History Music.